Your mind has the power to shape your life in ways you might not even realize. Every thought you have, every belief you hold, and every decision you make starts right there in your mind. It's easy to overlook just how much control you have over your future. But the truth is, your thoughts are constantly working to create the reality you live in. Whether you feel stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure of how to move forward, it all starts with what's happening inside your head. In this video, I'm going to help you unlock the power of your mind. I'm going to show you how to take control of your thoughts and use them to your advantage. You'll learn how to recognize the thoughts that are holding you back and how to replace them with the ones that will push you forward. This isn't about some complicated theory. It's about taking practical steps that you can start applying right now to transform the way you think and ultimately transform your life. If you're tired of feeling like your life is out of your control, if you want to start taking charge of your future, then stay with me. This is the kind of information that can change everything for you. If you're ready to take that first step, let's dive in. Number 1, your mind shapes your future. It's not just some motivational quote you hear once and forget. It's a simple but powerful truth that you need to take seriously. If you're ever going to live the life you want, so much of what happens in your life starts in your head. You may think it's all about your circumstances, your environment, or what you have around you. But in reality, everything starts with your mindset. What you think about, how you perceive the world, and the beliefs you carry with you are what shape the reality you live in. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you heard people say things like, "I just don't have what it takes," or "I'll never be able to do that"? Maybe you've even said things like that to yourself. These are the kinds of thoughts that limit us, that hold us back from reaching our potential. But on the flip side, if you can train your mind to focus on what's possible, if you can build a mindset that's rooted in self-belief and optimism, you'll start to notice opportunities you never saw before. You'll see solutions where others see problems. You'll make decisions from a place of confidence instead of fear. And most importantly, you'll begin to create a future that's aligned with the person you want to be. The reality is, your mind is always at work, shaping your future. Whether you realize it or not, what you think today will guide your actions tomorrow, and your actions create your results. That's why it's so important to be intentional about your thoughts. Every thought you entertain, whether positive or negative, has a direct impact on what happens next. You're constantly programming your mind, and the more you can focus on positive, empowering beliefs, the more likely you are to create the kind of life you want. Now, I want you to think for a moment. How much of your time and energy are you spending on the things you can't control? How much of your focus is spent worrying about things that haven't happened yet, or might never happen at all? Too often we get stuck in patterns of thinking that do nothing to move us forward. We allow fear, self-doubt, and negative thinking to take up space in our minds. And as a result, we start to believe that we're stuck in our current circumstances. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to be a prisoner of your own thoughts. The mind is incredibly powerful, and with the right tools and mindset, you can begin to change the course of your future. Every decision you make starts with a thought. Every breakthrough you experience, every success you achieve, is a result of the way you think about yourself and the world around you. If you want to create a different future, you need to start by thinking differently today. I've seen it time and time again, people who decide to take control of their thoughts, to change the way they look at challenges, and to believe that they have the power to create their own success. These are the people who begin to see real, lasting change in their lives. And it's not magic, it's mindset. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't often comes down to how they choose to think. It's not about talent, luck, or circumstance. It's about the way you program your mind to see possibilities instead of limitation. Here's what's truly remarkable. You can train your mind. You can program it to think in a way that serves your goals, your values, and your purpose. It's not about denying the challenges you'll face or pretending that everything is easy. It's about learning to approach those challenges with a mindset that says, "I can handle this. I am capable. I will find a way." When you develop that kind of mindset, nothing can stop you. Think about all the things you've already accomplished in your life. Whether big or small, you've had to use your mind to get where you are today. Your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions determine your results. The more you can control your thoughts, the more power you have over your future. The good news is that it's not as difficult as it sounds. It all comes down to becoming aware of the thoughts that don't serve you and replacing them with beliefs that empower you. I want to challenge you to think about the future you want to create. What's the life you envision for yourself? What kind of person do you want to become? The truth is, you can create that future by simply choosing to think differently. You don't have to wait for the perfect circumstances. You don't have to wait until everything is in place. The future starts now, in the thoughts you choose to hold in your mind today. Let's talk about the impact that positive thinking can have on your life. Positive thinking doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending that everything is always going to be easy. It means choosing to focus on what you can control, on the opportunities that exist, and on the belief that you are capable of overcoming obstacles. When you train your mind to see possibilities instead of roadblocks, you start to act in ways that support your success. Your mind will guide you to the right decisions, and those decisions will lead you to the results you desire. This isn't just about thinking positively for the sake of it. It's about developing a mindset that helps you become the person you need to be in order to achieve your goals. It's about understanding that your mind is like a factory, and what you feed it determines what it produces. If you constantly feed your mind with negativity, doubt, and fear, that's what it will create. But if you feed your mind with self-belief, possibility, and determination, that's what it will produce. And let me tell you, the results are life-changing. I know it's not always easy to think positively. There are days when things don't go as planned, when you face setbacks, or when doubt creeps in. But remember this, your thoughts are not facts. You don't have to accept every negative thought that comes your way. You have the power to choose which thoughts you give energy to. When you start to recognize that you can control your thinking, that's when the real magic happens. Number 2, guard your thoughts like your life depends on it. If someone broke into your house and started throwing garbage all over your floor, what would you do? You wouldn't just stand there and let them keep going, right? You'd stop them. You'd push them out the door. You'd protect your space because that's your home. That's where you live. You don't just let anyone come in and mess it up. But let me ask you this. Are you guarding your mind the same way? Because every single day, things are trying to get in. Negative thoughts, doubts, fear, people's opinions, the news, social media, gossip, all of it trying to take up space in your mind. And if you're not careful, if you're not paying attention, it will pile up like garbage. It will start shaping the way you think. It will start controlling the way you feel. It will start guiding your decisions without you even realizing it. You have to guard your mind like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Look around at your life right now. Your habits, your confidence, your success, your failures. All of it is a direct result of what you've allowed into your mind over the years. The beliefs you've accepted, the influences you've surrounded yourself with, the words you've heard and repeated to yourself. Maybe you grew up hearing money doesn't grow on trees. So now you believe making money is hard, and you never try to earn more. Maybe someone told you you're not smart enough. So now you doubt yourself every time you face a challenge. Maybe you've been around negative people for so long that you don't even realize how much their thinking has affected you. Most people never stop to question it. They never stop to ask, is this belief helping me or hurting me? Is this thought moving me forward or holding me back? They just go through life, accepting whatever their mind gives them, never realizing that they have the power to change it. You see, your mind is always being influenced. Every conversation you have, every book you read, every piece of news you watch, every person you follow online, it's all going in, and it's either making you stronger or making you weaker. It's either giving you clarity or filling your head with confusion. It's either helping you move forward or keeping you stuck. That's why you have to be careful. You have to pay attention to what you're allowing in. You have to be intentional about what you expose yourself to, because what goes into your mind will eventually come out in your life. I remember when I was young, before I started my journey of personal growth, I wasn't guarding my mind. I was just living on autopilot, letting the world tell me what to think, what to believe, what was possible for me. And guess what? My life reflected it. I was broke. I was frustrated. I felt stuck. Then one day I heard something that changed me forever. Someone said, your mind is like a garden. If you don't plant good seeds, weeds will grow by default. That hit me, because I realized I had been letting weeds grow in my mind for years. Doubts, excuses, negativity. I was letting all of it take root without even realizing it. And that's why my life wasn't changing. So I made a decision. I decided to start guarding my mind. I decided to stop letting just anything in. I started paying attention to the conversations I was having. I started questioning the beliefs I had accepted. I started being careful about what I watched, what I listened to, who I spent time with. And little by little, my thinking changed. And when my thinking changed, my life changed. Now, some people hear this and say, Jim, you're saying I should ignore reality, that I should just pretend everything is positive. No, that's not what I'm saying. You don't ignore reality. You just stop letting it control you. You stop letting every little piece of bad news fill your mind with fear. You stop letting other people's doubts become your doubts. You stop letting the negativity of the world dictate how you feel about yourself and your future. Because let me tell you, there will always be negativity. There will always be fear. There will always be people who doubt, who criticize, who complain. But that doesn't mean you have to let it in. That doesn't mean you have to make it a part of your thinking. That doesn't mean you have to live with it. You have to protect your mind like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. So let's talk about how to do that. First, you need to start paying attention to what's influencing you. Who are you listening to every day? What kind of conversations are you having? What kind of content are you consuming? Because all of it is shaping your thoughts, whether you realize it or not. If you're constantly around people who complain, guess what? You'll start complaining too. If you're always watching the news, filling your head with fear and bad headlines, guess what? You'll start feeling anxious about life. If you're following people online who make you feel like you're not good enough, guess what? You'll start doubting yourself. You have to start making conscious choices. Start surrounding yourself with people who push you to be better. Start filling your mind with ideas that inspire you. Start feeding yourself with books, lessons, and conversations that challenge you to grow. And here's something else. Guard your self-talk. Because what you say to yourself matters just as much as what you hear from others. If you keep telling yourself, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I always mess things up, that becomes your reality. But if you start telling yourself, I can learn, I can figure this out, I am capable, your actions will start to reflect that too. This isn't just feel-good advice. This is how your mind works. And if you don't take control of it, the world will do it for you. Now, I know change isn't easy. It takes effort. It takes awareness. But let me tell you, it is worth it. Because once you start guarding your mind, once you start being intentional about what you allow in, everything changes. Your confidence grows. Your decisions get better. Your future starts to take shape in a way you never imagined. Number 3, daily input creates long-term results. Every decision, every action, every dream, and every result. But just like a factory, what you feed your mind determines what it produces. What goes into it matters. If you want lasting success, you need to treat your mind with the same respect and attention you give your body. The thoughts and beliefs you repeat daily shape your future. This is why daily input creates long-term results. The habits you form now, the mindset you build day by day, will determine where you'll be tomorrow, next year, and for the rest of your life. Every day, your mind is processing information. You are constantly taking in thoughts, images, conversations, and experiences. Every piece of input gets processed, stored, and affects the way you think and feel. If you're constantly exposed to negativity, doubt, and fear, those are the thoughts your mind will continue to produce. If you feed your mind with positive thoughts, self-belief, and the idea that you can achieve anything, that's what it will start to believe and act upon. It's easy to underestimate how much influence the daily information you consume has on you. We live in a world full of distractions, constant noise, and never-ending streams of content. We scroll through social media, watch the news, or engage in conversations without realizing how much it impacts our mindset. Sometimes we even surround ourselves with people who bring us down or tell us what we can't do. If you don't guard what goes into your mind, it's easy to fall into patterns of thinking that don't serve you. Before you know it, you'll be thinking thoughts that limit your potential, making decisions based on fear, and taking actions that only reinforce a cycle of self-doubt. Now imagine if you started being intentional about the things you let into your mind. Imagine if you chose the ideas, the people, and the content you exposed yourself to on a daily basis. It's not about blocking out the world or living in a bubble, but it is about choosing what's going to benefit you and help you grow. It's about selecting the information, the experiences, and the conversations that will push you forward, not hold you back. This is where the power of daily input comes into play. The things you expose yourself to on a daily basis create your mindset, which in turn influences your actions. If you want to achieve something big, like building a successful career, starting a business, or improving your health, you can't expect to get there by feeding your mind with things that don't align with those goals. You can't expect to build a successful business if you're constantly absorbing messages that tell you it's too hard, it's too risky, or you're not good enough. You also can't expect to improve your health if you're constantly feeding your mind with unhealthy habits, self-criticism, or thoughts that undermine your ability to succeed. Instead, you need to be intentional. Start filling your mind with things that encourage growth. Read books that inspire and challenge you. Listen to podcasts, or watch videos that teach you new skills, and open your mind to new possibilities. Surround yourself with people who are working toward their own goals and pushing themselves to grow. When you make this a habit, when you make daily input something you consciously focus on, you'll start to see the results in your life. You'll start to notice how much easier it becomes to take action toward your goals, how your confidence grows, and how your mindset shifts to one of success. It's important to understand that daily input isn't just about what you consume in terms of content. It's also about your thoughts. The thoughts you have every day, the ones you repeat to yourself and hold on to, play a huge role in shaping your reality. Think about the way you talk to yourself. Do you speak to yourself in a way that encourages progress? Or do you constantly criticize yourself, doubt your abilities, and focus on the obstacles rather than the opportunities? The way you think about yourself and your life has a direct impact on the actions you take and the results you get. For example, if you wake up every day thinking, I can't do this, I'm not smart enough, I'm not talented enough, there's no way I can succeed, your mind will find ways to reinforce those beliefs. It will make you feel stuck, discouraged, and incapable of moving forward. But if you change your thinking to something like, I'm capable of learning, I can handle challenges, I am worthy of success, your mind will start looking for ways to prove that true. You'll feel more confident, more focused, and more determined to push through obstacles. The key here is consistency. Daily input isn't a one-time fix. It's something that needs to be practiced day in and day out. The more you expose your mind to the right kind of information and reinforce positive thoughts, the more your mindset will shift. Over time, this will translate into better decisions, more inspired actions, and a greater sense of purpose. You might be thinking, but I'm already doing a lot, and it's not working for me. Here's the thing, results take time. They don't happen overnight, but if you stay consistent with your daily input, you'll eventually see the change. It's like planting a seed. You don't see the plant growing right away, but over time, the seed takes root, the stem begins to grow, and eventually, you see the full result of your efforts. This idea of daily input creating long-term results applies to every area of your life, whether it's your career, health, relationships, or personal growth. What you feed your mind daily will determine how successful you are in those areas. If you're not seeing the results you want, take a look at the input you're feeding your mind. Are you reinforcing positive beliefs? Are you surrounding yourself with people who inspire you? Are you filling your mind with thoughts and ideas that encourage growth? Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about getting better each day, even if it's just a small step. Every bit of positive input you feed your mind compounds over time. So if you want to see lasting change, start with the small things. Read that book, listen to that podcast, have that conversation. Replace the negative thought with a positive one. These small daily actions will create the mindset that will lead to long-term results. The truth is, you are capable of achieving anything you set your mind to, but it all starts with the input. What you choose to feed your mind today will determine your results tomorrow. Make the choice to feed your mind with the right things, and watch how your life begins to change in ways you never thought possible. Number 4, your mind becomes what it repeats. The truth is that the thoughts you entertain, the things you dwell on, and the mental patterns you develop today are directly shaping your tomorrow. If you don't believe that, take a moment to reflect on your past. The person you are right now, the successes, the failures, the mindset you carry, it's all a result of the thoughts you've had and the beliefs you've built over time. Now here's the real question. Are the thoughts you've been feeding your mind over the years working for you or against you? It's easy to assume that our thoughts are just a byproduct of what's happening around us, that we're simply reacting to life. But that's not the case. Your mind is always active, always processing, always working. And every thought it produces has an impact on your actions, your decisions, and the life you experience. Think about it this way. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, "I'll never be able to do that," or "I'm just not good enough"? These thoughts, though they may seem like simple doubts or fears, are quietly shaping your reality. They're creating limitations in your mind. And because of that, they're preventing you from reaching your full potential. If you're constantly telling yourself you can't do something, your mind starts to believe it. And once your mind believes something, it starts to work in alignment with that belief, creating a cycle of self-doubt that holds you back. On the other hand, if you replace those limiting thoughts with empowering ones, thoughts like, "I can do this," or "I am capable of achieving my goals," your mind will start to work toward those beliefs as well. It's not magic, and it's not instant. But over time, you'll begin to see the shift. The actions you take, the opportunities you spot, and the way you approach challenges will change for the better. Your mind is a factory, constantly producing ideas, beliefs, and thoughts. And just like a factory that makes a product, the output is determined by the input. If you're feeding your mind negative, limiting thoughts, that's what it's going to produce. But if you fill it with positive, empowering thoughts, your mind will begin to work for you, not against you. This is why it's so important to guard your thoughts. Every day you're faced with a choice. You can either let your mind wander aimlessly, picking up whatever comes your way, or you can consciously choose to fill your mind with thoughts that serve you. Think of your mind like a garden. If you plant seeds of doubt, negativity, and fear, that's what's going to grow. But if you plant seeds of confidence, possibility, and hope, you'll begin to see a very different outcome. This process isn't something that happens overnight. It takes time, patience, and consistency. But just like tending to a garden, if you nurture your mind and take care of what you're feeding it, you'll start to see the fruits of your labor. The good news is that you have the power to change your mind. You have the ability to decide what you're going to think about and how you're going to approach the challenges in your life. It's all about being intentional with your thoughts. It's about choosing to focus on the things that inspire you and challenge you to grow, rather than getting stuck in a cycle of negativity and self-doubt. And once you start to make this shift, you'll notice that the world around you begins to change as well. But the real transformation happens when you realize that your mind doesn't just respond to the environment, it creates the environment. Your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions shape your results. If you want different results, you have to start with different thoughts. This is where it all begins. And while it might not always be easy, the process is incredibly rewarding. It's about taking control of your mind and using it to create the life you truly want. Think of the moments in your life where you've had success, whether it was a big achievement or a small victory. What were you thinking at that time? Chances are you were focused, determined, and positive. You believed in your ability to succeed, and because of that, your mind was working with you to make it happen. On the other hand, when you faced challenges or setbacks, what were your thoughts? Were you filled with doubt and fear, or were you determined to keep going, no matter what? Your thoughts played a crucial role in those moments. Now, I know this isn't always easy. Life can throw curveballs, and it's not always simple to stay positive and focused when things aren't going your way. But that's when it matters the most. When you're faced with challenges, that's when you need to choose your thoughts more carefully than ever. It's in those moments that your mind has the potential to either work for you or against you. And the more you practice taking control of your thoughts, the easier it becomes to shift your mindset, even when life gets tough. This doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It means training your mind to look for the opportunities in every situation. It means shifting from a mindset of "I can't" to "how can I?" It's about focusing on the solutions rather than getting stuck in the problems. It's about taking responsibility for your thoughts and understanding that you have the power to change them at any time. Number 5, replace weak thoughts with strong ones. Your mind is powerful, more powerful than you realize. It has the ability to either push you forward or hold you back. It can make you stronger, or it can keep you weak. And the difference all comes down to what you allow in and what you choose to keep out. Every single day, your mind is being filled with thoughts. Some are helpful, some are not. Some give you energy, some drain you, some move you towards success, some pull you further away. And the problem is, most people don't even realize they have the power to control it. They let weak thoughts take over. And because they repeat them long enough, those thoughts start to feel real. If you wake up every morning and the first thought in your mind is, "I don't feel like doing anything today," you're already setting yourself up for failure. If every time you face a challenge, your mind says, "This is too hard," then you're making it 10 times harder before you even start. If you've trained yourself to expect the worst, to assume you'll fail, to doubt your abilities, then you're making life far more difficult than it has to be. And what's worse, if you don't do something about it, these weak thoughts will control you for years, even decades. But the good news is, you don't have to accept this. You don't have to let weak thoughts take over. You can replace them with stronger ones. You can train your mind to work for you, not against you. You can shift the way you think and take back control. And when you do, you'll see a massive difference in your actions, in your results, and in your entire life. The first thing you need to understand is that weak thoughts don't just come from nowhere. They're built over time. They come from experiences, from influences, from the things you've been exposed to. If you've spent years around negative people, if you've been told that success isn't for you, if you've failed in the past and let that failure define you, then of course your mind is going to be filled with doubts. Of course you're going to feel like you're not good enough. But here's the truth. Just because you've thought something for a long time doesn't mean it's true. Just because your mind says, "I can't do this," doesn't mean you actually can't. Just because your mind tells you, "I'll never be successful," doesn't mean success isn't possible for you. These are just thoughts, and thoughts can be changed, but you have to be willing to do the work. You have to start catching yourself when a weak thought comes up. You have to challenge it. If your mind says, "I don't feel like doing this," you have to tell yourself, "I don't have to feel like it. I just have to do it." If your mind says, "This is too hard," you have to remind yourself, "Hard things make me stronger." If your mind says, "I'll never be good at this," you have to replace it with, "I can get better every day." You don't wait until you feel strong to start thinking stronger thoughts. You start now. You train your mind the same way you train your body. You don't go to the gym once and expect to be in great shape. You don't do a few push-ups and expect to be strong overnight. Strength comes from repetition, from consistency, from pushing through, even when it's uncomfortable. And your mind works the same way. Most people don't realize how much control they have over their thinking. They assume that their thoughts are just automatic. But the truth is, you have more power than you think. You get to decide what you focus on. You get to decide what thoughts you allow to stay. You get to decide whether you accept weak thinking or replace it with something better. And I know, at first it's not easy. If you've spent years thinking the same way, it feels unnatural to change. It feels forced. But that's only because you haven't built the habit yet. You haven't strengthened that part of your mind. I remember when I first started learning this, I had all kinds of weak thoughts controlling me. Every time I wanted to do something new, my mind would tell me, "You're not ready." Every time I faced a challenge, my mind would say, "This is too much." Every time I failed, my mind would remind me, "See, you're not good enough." And because I had repeated those thoughts for so long, they felt real. I believed them. I let them dictate my actions. And as a result, I stayed stuck. I didn't push myself. I let fear win, and I wasted years because of it. But one day, I realized something. I realized that my weak thoughts weren't based on reality. They were just habits. And if I could build those habits, I could replace them with better ones. So I started paying attention. I started catching my weak thoughts. And instead of just accepting them, I started challenging them. When my mind told me, "You're not good enough," I told myself, "I can get better." When my mind said, "This is too hard," I reminded myself, "I've done hard things before." When my mind said, "You're going to fail," I told myself, "Failure is how I learn." And little by little, everything changed. My actions changed. My confidence grew. And over time, those strong thoughts became natural. They became automatic. They became my new reality. And that's exactly what I want for you. I want you to stop letting weak thoughts control you. I want you to take back your mind. I want you to start filling it with the kind of thinking that pushes you forward instead of holding you back. Starting today, I want you to become aware of the thoughts you're repeating. I want you to start challenging every single one that doesn't serve you. I want you to stop believing in your doubts and start believing in your potential. Because once you do this, once you commit to replacing weak thoughts with strong ones, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Your mind can be your greatest asset, or it can be your biggest enemy. The choice is yours. But if you choose to take control, if you choose to train your mind the same way you train your body, if you choose to build the habit of strong thinking every single day, then I promise you, your life will never be the same. Number 6, your environment shapes your thinking. Your environment shapes your thinking. Whether you realize it or not, the people you surround yourself with, the conversations you engage in, the books you read, the videos you watch, these things are shaping your thoughts every single day. They are either helping you grow or keeping you stuck. They are either filling your mind with ideas that push you forward or with excuses that hold you back. Most people don't think about this. They go through life without questioning the influences around them. They spend time with the same people, hear the same complaints, listen to the same negativity, and then wonder why they don't feel motivated. They wonder why they feel stuck. But it's no mystery. If you surround yourself with negativity, you start thinking negatively. If you surround yourself with laziness, you start feeling lazy. If you spend time with people who always make excuses, you start making excuses too. But here's the good news. Just like the wrong environment can hold you back, the right one can push you forward. Just like negative people can drain your energy, positive people can inspire you. Just like bad influences can make you doubt yourself, good influences can help you believe in what's possible. And the difference between where you are now and where you want to be might just come down to one thing: who and what you allow into your life. I want you to take a moment and think about the people you spend the most time with. Think about the conversations you have every day. Are they conversations about growth, about opportunity, about pushing forward? Or are they conversations filled with complaints, gossip, and negativity? Do the people around you challenge you to be better? Or do they pull you into bad habits? Do they push you to go after your goals? Or do they make you feel like success is impossible? Because here's the truth. Your mind is like a sponge. It absorbs whatever is around it. And if all you're absorbing is doubt, fear, and negativity, then that's what you'll start believing. But if you start surrounding yourself with winners, with people who push themselves, with people who refuse to settle, then you start thinking like them. You start acting like them. You start becoming like them. I've seen this happen over and over again. I've seen people stuck in the wrong environment for years, wondering why they couldn't change. They wanted to do better, but every time they tried, the people around them pulled them back down. Every time they shared an idea, someone would laugh at them. Every time they talked about success, someone would tell them to be realistic. And after a while, they stopped trying. They let their environment dictate their future. But I've also seen the opposite. I've seen people change everything just by changing who they spent time with. I've seen people go from lost and unmotivated to focused and driven just by surrounding themselves with people who expected more from them. I've seen people break free from bad habits, not because they suddenly found more willpower, but because they started spending time with people who didn't tolerate excuses. And that's the secret. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your environment. You don't suddenly become successful just because you want to. You become successful when you create an environment that forces you to grow. If you're serious about improving your life, then you have to get serious about what you allow into your mind. you have to start paying attention to what's influencing you. You have to ask yourself, is this helping me or hurting me? Because every influence is doing one or the other. There is no neutral. And I know for some people, this is hard to hear. Maybe you've been around the same people your whole life. Maybe they're friends. Maybe they're even family. And I'm not saying you have to cut people off completely, but I am saying you have to protect your mind. If someone is always negative, you have to limit how much time you spend with them. If someone is always complaining, you have to be careful not to absorb their mindset. If someone is always doubting you, you have to make sure their words don't become your beliefs. And if you don't have the right people around you yet, then start with what you can control. Read books that challenge your thinking. Listen to people who inspire you. Watch videos that fill your mind with ideas, not excuses. Find ways to create an environment of growth, even if the people around you aren't on the same path yet. Because the stronger your mind becomes, the easier it will be to stay focused, no matter what's happening around you. I remember when I first learned this lesson. Back then, I didn't think my environment mattered that much. I thought I could stay around the same people, have the same conversations, and still change my life. But I was wrong. No matter how motivated I was, if I spent too much time around negativity, it started to affect me. If I listened to enough excuses, I started making them myself. If I stayed in the wrong environment long enough, my progress slowed down. But once I started surrounding myself with winners, people who believed in growth, people who pushed themselves, people who wouldn't accept anything less than their best, everything changed. Suddenly, success didn't feel so far away. Suddenly, my goals felt more possible. And the best part, I didn't have to force myself to be motivated anymore. It became natural. Because when you're surrounded by people who are moving forward, you don't want to be the one getting left behind. And that's what I want for you. I want you to build an environment that pushes you to grow. I want you to be around people who expect you to win. I want you to fill your mind with ideas that make you stronger, not weaker. Because once you do, everything else will start to fall into place. So take a look at your environment. Be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, is this helping me become the person I want to be? And if the answer is no, then it's time to make some changes. It won't always be easy. Some people won't understand. Some people will try to pull you back. But you have to be stronger than that. You have to decide that your future is more important than someone else's comfort. You have to choose growth over familiarity. Number 7, feed your mind with winners' ideas. Every single day, your mind is being shaped by the information you take in, what you listen to, what you watch, what you read, and who you spend time with. These things are shaping your thoughts, whether you realize it or not. And if you're serious about success, if you're serious about building a strong mindset, then you have to start feeding your mind with winners' ideas. Most people don't think about this. They go through life without questioning the information they're absorbing. They watch the news first thing in the morning, filling their minds with fear and negativity. They scroll through social media, letting distractions take over their thoughts. They listen to people who complain, who make excuses, who blame others for their problems. And then they wonder why they don't feel motivated. They wonder why they struggle with confidence, why they can't stay focused, why they keep doubting themselves. But here's the truth. If you want to think like a winner, you have to start feeding your mind the right information. You have to start surrounding yourself with ideas that push you forward, not hold you back. You have to start learning from people who have already done what you're trying to do. Because success leaves clues. And if you study the right people, if you absorb the right ideas, you will start thinking differently. You will start seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. You will start believing in yourself in a way you never have before. I want you to think about this for a moment. Imagine two people, both starting at the same place in life. One of them spends every day listening to negativity, engaging in gossip, filling their mind with distractions. The other one spends their time learning, growing, absorbing ideas from people who have succeeded. Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to make progress faster? It's not a mystery. Your thoughts determine your actions. Your actions determine your results. And if you're not putting the right thoughts into your mind, you can't expect the right results to come out. This is why I always tell people, Be intentional about what you consume. Be intentional about what you allow into your mind. Because the information you take in today is shaping your future. If you're spending hours every day watching meaningless entertainment, but you're not learning anything new, how do you expect to grow? If you're spending time with people who are always doubting themselves, always making excuses, always settling for less, how do you expect to think any differently? I know this because I've lived it. There was a time when I wasn't feeding my mind with the right ideas. I wasn't learning. I wasn't studying. I was just going through life on autopilot. And because of that, my thinking stayed small, my actions stayed small, and my results stayed small. But everything changed when I started learning from winners. I started reading books written by successful people. I started listening to their ideas, their lessons, their mindset. I started surrounding myself with people who were thinking bigger than me, who had higher expectations, who refused to settle. And you know what happened? My thinking changed. My confidence grew. My vision expanded. And suddenly things that once seemed impossible didn't seem so far away anymore. And that's what I want for you. I want you to take control of what's shaping your thoughts. I want you to be intentional about what you allow into your mind. I want you to start learning from people who have already done what you're trying to do. Because when you do that, you start skipping years of struggle. You start avoiding mistakes that could have cost you time, energy, and money. You start making progress faster because you're learning from people who have already been there. Now, some people hear this and say, well, I don't know anyone successful. I don't have the right people around me. And I get that. Maybe right now you don't have a personal mentor. Maybe you don't have a circle of high achievers pushing you forward. But that doesn't mean you can't learn from them. You don't need to meet someone in person to learn from them. Their ideas are out there. Their books, their speeches, their lessons. You have access to all of it. And if you take advantage of that, if you fill your mind with their thinking every single day, you will start to change. I challenge you to start being intentional about what you consume. Replace 1 hour of meaningless entertainment with 1 hour of learning. Replace time spent on distractions with time spent absorbing ideas that help you grow. Replace negative conversations with positive ones. Replace excuses with solutions. Because every time you do this, you're training your mind to think differently. You're wiring yourself for success. And over time, this adds up. I've seen people completely transform their lives just by changing the information they take in. I've seen people go from broke to financially free, not because they suddenly got lucky, but because they started learning from people who had built wealth. I've seen people go from unmotivated to unstoppable, not because their circumstances changed, but because they started feeding their mind the right ideas. I've seen people go from doubting themselves to believing in themselves, not because they were born with confidence, but because they trained their minds to think that way. And that's the key. You don't wait until you feel like a winner to start thinking like one. You start thinking like one now. You start feeding your mind with winners' ideas now. You start surrounding yourself with the right influences now. Because if you do this every single day, success will no longer feel like something out of reach. It will start feeling like something that belongs to you. It will start feeling like something you were meant for. I want you to commit to this. For the next 30 days, be intentional about what you put into your mind. Read books that challenge you. Listen to people who inspire you. Spend time around those who push you to be better. Cut out the negativity. Cut out the distractions. Cut out the things that don't serve you. And watch what happens. Watch how your thinking changes. Watch how your confidence grows. Watch how opportunities start showing up in your life. Because when you start feeding your mind with winners' ideas, everything changes. You start believing in yourself in a way you never have before. You start seeing possibilities where you once saw limitations. You start taking action with a new level of focus and determination. And before you know it, you're not just thinking like a winner, you're becoming one. This is the difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck. It's not just about talent. It's not just about luck. It's about what you allow into your mind every single day. And if you choose to fill it with the right ideas, with the right influences, with the mindset of winners, then nothing can stop you from achieving the success you deserve. Number 8, your mind can create success or failure. There is a common misconception that successful people just get lucky, that somehow, some way, success falls into their lap. But let me tell you something. Successful people didn't just get lucky. They pushed themselves every single day. They showed up when no one else would. They worked harder, longer, and smarter than most people. And most importantly, they did it consistently. Because success doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen by accident. Success is the result of consistent effort, day in and day out. And that's exactly why pushing yourself every day is so critical to your success. You can't expect to reach your goals if you're only working on them some of the time. You can't expect to be successful if you're not consistently pushing yourself to do better, to be better. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of setting goals, of dreaming big, of thinking about all the amazing things you want to accomplish. But when it comes time to actually do the work, when it's time to show up day after day, that's where most people fall short. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you started something and then quit before you finished? How many times have you been motivated at first, but when the excitement wore off, you found yourself slipping back into your old habits? We've all been there. I've been there too. It's easy to start strong, but it's the people who push through when things get tough who eventually win. And that's why you need to develop the habit of pushing yourself every single day. You see, the difference between those who make it and those who don't is this: people who succeed don't stop when they're tired. They stop when they're done. They don't stop when it gets hard. They keep going until it's finished. They don't stop when things don't go according to plan. They adjust, they adapt, and they keep pushing forward. Success is not about talent. It's not about how much you know or how much experience you have. It's about your ability to stay in the game, to keep moving forward even when things aren't going your way. It's about developing the mental toughness to push through the challenges, to rise above the obstacles, and to keep fighting for what you want. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that they can take breaks from their goals. They think they can put in some effort here and there, but it's the daily effort that creates real lasting results. It's the consistent small actions that add up over time to create massive success. Whether it's getting up earlier, working a little longer, learning something new every day, or improving just 1%, it's those small actions, done every day, that add up. Consistency is the key to success. It's not the big dramatic actions that change your life. It's the little things you do every day that eventually lead to big results. And this is where most people miss the mark. They want to see results right away. And when they don't, they give up. They want to see their hard work pay off immediately. But success doesn't work that way. You have to trust the process. You have to keep pushing, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Because the truth is, everything you're doing is adding up, even if you can't see it yet. The key to pushing yourself every day is building the right habits. If you don't have the right habits in place, it's going to be much harder to stay consistent. But if you can create a routine that keeps you on track, that helps you take small steps every day towards your goals, you will see progress. The most successful people are the ones who have built strong, positive habits that push them forward, day in and day out. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on their habits. Now, this doesn't mean you won't face challenges. It doesn't mean things will always be easy. In fact, you will face setbacks. You will face obstacles. You will feel tired, discouraged, and frustrated. But it's in those moments that you need to push yourself the hardest. It's when things get tough that you have to dig deeper, find that extra ounce of strength, and keep going. I've faced many challenges in my life, and I can tell you from experience that it's the hard times that make you stronger. It's the times when you feel like giving up that teach you the most valuable lessons. And it's those lessons, those moments of perseverance, that shape you into the person you need to be in order to achieve your goals. There will be days when you feel like you can't keep going. Days when you question whether it's worth it. Days when you want to throw in the towel. But I want you to remember this. The only way to fail is to quit. The only way to lose is to give up. And the only way to succeed is to keep going. No matter what, when you push yourself every day, you are building momentum. Even if it's small progress, even if it's just a little bit of effort, you're moving forward. And over time, that momentum builds, and eventually, it becomes unstoppable. When you keep pushing yourself, even when it's hard, that's when success starts to happen. But it's not just about pushing yourself in the big moments. when you're feeling motivated and inspired. It's about pushing yourself when you don't feel like it. It's about getting up when you'd rather stay in bed. It's about working when you'd rather relax. It's about doing the work when no one is watching. Because that's where the magic happens. Success is built in those quiet moments when you're alone, when no one is cheering you on, when it's just you and your commitment to your goals. So the next time you feel like giving up, remind yourself why you started in the first place. Remember why your goals matter. Remember that success doesn't come from taking shortcuts. It comes from the consistent effort, the daily actions, the small steps that add up over time. If you can commit to pushing yourself every day, even when it's tough, then you will succeed. And let me tell you something else. Pushing yourself every day doesn't just build your success, it builds your character. It builds your strength, your resilience, and your mental toughness. It teaches you how to stay focused, how to overcome obstacles, and how to rise above the challenges life throws your way. The more you push yourself, the stronger you become. And the stronger you become, the more you'll be able to handle whatever life throws at you. Number 9. Old thinking won't get new results. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that we can wait for the right moment to start. We tell ourselves that we'll push through tomorrow, next week, or next month when we feel more motivated, or when the timing is perfect. The problem with this mindset is that the right moment rarely comes. In fact, it might never come if you're constantly waiting for things to fall into place perfectly. And this is where the real battle begins. The moment you realize that you can't just rely on motivation to get things done. You have to force yourself to work when you don't feel like it. This is the truth that most people don't want to face. It's the part of the journey that separates those who succeed from those who don't. Success doesn't just come to you when you're feeling motivated. It doesn't just show up when everything in your life is aligned. Success requires you to show up, even when you're tired, even when things aren't perfect, and even when you'd rather do anything but the work. Think about it for a moment. How often have you found yourself procrastinating? How many times have you said, "I'll do it tomorrow," only for tomorrow to turn into next week? Or worse, never at all. I know I've been there. We've all been there. It's easy to get swept up in the emotions of the moment. Sometimes you feel energized and ready to take on the world. And other times you feel like just giving up. But the key to success is learning to push yourself to work, even when the energy isn't there, even when you don't feel like it, and even when the motivation just isn't there. There will be days when the last thing you want to do is work on your goals. You'll feel tired, distracted, or just plain unmotivated. But this is exactly when you need to show up. This is when the work counts the most. The real test is not when everything is going great and you're on a high. The real test is when things are tough, when you feel worn out, and when everything inside you is telling you to take a break. This is when you need to dig deep and force yourself to keep going. And the beautiful thing is, if you can learn to push yourself in these moments, you'll build the muscle of resilience. You'll develop a habit of showing up, no matter what. When you force yourself to work, even when you don't feel like it, you create momentum, and momentum is powerful. The more you push yourself, the more you build that inner strength, and the more you see that progress can still happen, even when things aren't perfect. That's the difference between those who get results and those who don't. It's not about waiting for the perfect time. It's about showing up in spite of the imperfections. It's about deciding to act regardless of how you feel. Because the truth is, you're never going to feel like it all the time. And that's okay. Let's take a moment to really think about what happens when you push through the resistance. You know those moments when everything in you is fighting the idea of sitting down and doing the work. It's in these moments that your future is built. Every time you choose to act, even when you don't feel like it, you are making a choice to move closer to your goals. You're creating habits that move you toward success. And over time, those habits will add up, and you'll look back and be amazed at the progress you've made. It's important to recognize that when you force yourself to work, you're also building mental toughness. Mental toughness is what allows you to keep going when things get difficult. It's the ability to stay focused on your goals, even when the odds seem stacked against you. Mental toughness is what separates the winners from the quitters. It's the strength that says, "I'm not going to let anything stop me from doing the work I need to do." And this strength is developed by consistently showing up, even when you don't feel like it. You may not always be excited to do the work. You may not always be enthusiastic about the process. But you know what? That's okay. The key is showing up and getting it done, even when it's hard. And let me tell you, it will be hard. There will be days when you feel drained, exhausted, and completely unmotivated. But in those moments, you have a choice. You can either let those feelings control you, or you can decide that your goals are more important than how you feel in the moment. And when you make the decision to work, even when it's tough, you'll find that you're capable of much more than you think. I'm not saying that you should push yourself beyond your limits every single day. Rest is important too. But what I am saying is that you shouldn't let temporary feelings of discomfort stop you from doing what needs to be done. You can't let a little fatigue, a little resistance, or a little lack of motivation keep you from reaching your goals. Because at the end of the day, your dreams and your success are in your hands. They depend on your ability to keep going, even when you don't feel like it. It's also important to understand that pushing yourself to work when you don't feel like it isn't just about force. It's about building discipline. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your achievements. Without discipline, all the talent, knowledge, and potential in the world won't help you. Discipline is what allows you to do what needs to be done, even when it's not fun. It's the muscle you need to train every day, just like any other muscle in your body. The more you flex your discipline muscle, the stronger it gets. And when you're disciplined enough to work, even when you don't feel like it, success becomes inevitable. I want you to take a moment and really think about the things you've been putting off. What are the tasks, the goals, the dreams that you've been delaying because you didn't feel like doing the work? Maybe you've been waiting for the perfect time. Maybe you've been waiting for inspiration to strike. But let me tell you, the perfect time is now. Don't wait for motivation to come to you. Create it yourself. And the best way to create motivation is by starting, even when you don't feel like it. There's something powerful that happens when you push yourself to work when you don't feel like it. You prove to yourself that you are in control. You prove that your goals matter more than your temporary discomfort. And when you start building that kind of inner strength, you'll notice something amazing. The work becomes easier. The more you do it, the more natural it feels. And before you know it, you won't be waiting for motivation to strike. You'll be the one creating it through action. The work you're doing today is setting the stage for the success of tomorrow. So I want to challenge you, when you feel that resistance, when you feel that urge to quit, I want you to remember why you're doing this. I want you to remember what you're working toward. And I want you to push through it. Force yourself to do the work, even when you don't feel like it. Because every time you do, you're getting one step closer to the life you want. And that's the power of pushing yourself to work when you don't feel like it. You may not always feel motivated, but you always have the power to push through. And that's what makes all the difference in the world. Number 10, your thoughts today create your reality tomorrow. It's easy to feel defeated when you're doing it all by yourself, especially when things aren't going the way you expected. There are moments when you look around and it feels like the world is moving faster than you can keep up. You might even start questioning your own abilities, wondering if you're ever going to reach your goals. But I'm here to tell you something important. If you're going to make it, you have to be willing to do it alone, even when you're broke, tired, and worn out. You cannot wait for the perfect circumstances. You cannot wait for the world to give you a break. You have to keep going, even when it feels like it's all too much. When you're starting something new, or when you're building a dream, it's rare that things are going to be easy. In fact, they're probably going to be a lot harder than you expected. It might feel like you're putting in all this effort, and no one notices. Or like you're working all day, and you're not seeing any rewards for your hard work. But this is the part where you need to dig deeper. This is the part where you need to decide if you really want it bad enough. And let me tell you something. If you want to succeed, you've got to be prepared to go at it alone sometimes. There will be moments when no one else understands what you're doing. They won't see your vision. They won't get why you're working so hard, even when you don't have everything you want. But the truth is, it's not their journey, it's yours. And that means in order to get to where you want to be, you have to be willing to do the work without anyone cheering you on. You have to be willing to keep pushing, even when it feels like no one else believes in you. Because there will be times, maybe even a lot of times, when you're the only one who believes in your dream. But here's the thing, this is what makes the journey worth it. When you're doing it alone, you're not depending on anyone else's approval or validation. You're building something that's truly your own. And that kind of self-reliance, it's powerful. It's the kind of strength that you carry with you for the rest of your life. The best part about doing it alone is that you learn to rely on yourself. You learn that no matter how hard it gets, you are capable of pushing through. You learn that your resilience is what will get you to the other side of the struggle. Of course, doing it alone doesn't mean you can't seek help or guidance along the way. But the core of the work, the heart of it, must come from within. There will be times when you don't have anyone to call on, when it feels like there's no one around to support you. And in those moments, you have to be the one to keep going. You have to be the one to remind yourself why you're doing this. And you have to be the one to pick yourself back up when you stumble. It doesn't matter how tired you are. It doesn't matter how broke you might feel. It doesn't matter if things aren't happening as fast as you want them to. What matters is that you're still showing up. You're still doing the work. And that, my friend, is the key to making it through the hard times. If you can stay in the game, even when you're tired, even when you feel like you don't have enough, you're setting yourself up for success in the long run. I know it's easy to want to throw in the towel, especially when you're exhausted. But let me remind you of something. Every time you keep going, even when you don't feel like it, you build strength, you build character, you build the kind of person who can handle the weight of success. And if you quit every time it gets hard, you'll never discover what you're truly capable of. This isn't about getting everything handed to you. It's about proving to yourself that you can create the life you want. No matter how many obstacles you face, you may be tired, you may be broke, but you're still standing. And as long as you keep standing, you have the chance to make it. It's not the people who give up early who win. It's the ones who stay in the fight, who keep going no matter how hard it gets. And that's exactly what you need to do. There will be people who doubt you. There will be moments when you feel like no one is there to back you up. But that's okay. You don't need anyone else to believe in your dream. You just need to believe in yourself. Because the moment you truly believe that you can do it, everything changes. You start seeing opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You start finding solutions where you once saw problems. It's easy to believe in your dream when everything is going well. But real strength comes from believing in your dream when things are tough, when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you're standing alone, wondering if it's all worth it. That's when you need to dig deeper. That's when you need to remind yourself why you started in the first place. And here's the truth. If you don't quit, you're already ahead of the game. Success doesn't come to the people who have it all together. It doesn't come to the people who have the most money or the easiest path. Success comes to the people who are willing to keep going, even when they're tired. It comes to the people who are willing to do the work, even when no one is watching. It comes to the people who, when everything else seems impossible, find a way to keep moving forward. So if you're out there feeling tired, feeling broke, feeling like you don't have enough, I want you to know that you're not alone. We've all been there. We've all felt like it's too much. But it's in these moments that we become the people we're meant to be. It's in these moments that we learn to trust ourselves. And if you can trust yourself and keep going, you'll get to the other side. You'll look back and realize that the journey was worth it. You are capable of doing this, even when it's hard. You are strong enough to keep going, even when you're tired. You have what it takes to push through, even when you feel like giving up. And when you do, when you keep going despite all the odds, you'll find that the success you've been dreaming of was always within reach.